The millionaire slowly turned the knob, expecting silence, maybe the faint hum of the city through the open balcony. What he saw froze him in place. His bedroom, usually immaculate, looked like a whirlwind had struck it. Clothes were scattered across the floor, drawers left open, and his prized vintage watch collection lay smashed on the carpet. But it wasn't the mess that made him stagger backward, it was her. She was there, sitting on the edge of the bed, tears streaking her cheeks, clutching a photograph in her trembling hands. His breath caught. Her hair, normally tied neatly, hung in wild strands around her face. Her eyes, wide and desperate, were fixed on him, as though he were both the cause and solution to her suffering. What are you doing here? He finally managed, his voice trembling despite himself. She looked up, startled, then cradled the photo to her chest. I had to see you. I had to tell you the truth before, her voice broke. He stepped fully into the room, shutting the door behind him with a soft click that sounded louder than it should have. Tell me the truth. About what? She swallowed hard, her hands shaking. Everything you don't know about me, about us. His mind raced. Us. They weren't even close. They'd met at charity events, dinners, sometimes his office, but us. That word sounded foreign, impossible. Sit down, he said cautiously, moving toward the chair by the vanity. Slowly. Tell me what's going on. She hesitated, glancing at the mess she'd made, then finally sat, the bed sinking beneath her weight. I didn't mean to. She trailed off, biting her lip, staring at the carpet. He crouched slightly to be at her eye level. Just what? I found out about your father, and the company, and what he really did to people. Her voice was low, but sharp with anger. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. I couldn't pretend anymore that everything was perfect. He blinked, caught off guard. He knew rumors, scandals, lawsuits, but those were old news, smoothed over with money and connections. He never expected someone to confront him like this, in his own bedroom, heart raw and exposed. You mean the charity, the investments, all the lies they told? She asked, finally meeting his gaze. Do you even know what they cost people? He shook his head, bewildered. I knew some things, yes. But I didn't hurt anyone directly. I inherited this life. I didn't make these choices. Her eyes burned with tears and fury. Doesn't matter. You're still living in their shadow, enjoying what they built while others suffered. And now, you're just like them. He felt his chest tighten. The accusation wasn't fair, but somehow, it stung because it rang a truth he hadn't admitted to himself. He had avoided thinking about consequences, about the people affected by his wealth. I never wanted to hurt anyone, he whispered. She shook her head, sobbing. Words don't matter anymore. Look around you. She gestured at the room, at the chaos she'd left behind. Your life is perfect, yes. But it's built on everything else being imperfect. And I can't pretend anymore. He swallowed hard, feeling both anger and guilt rise inside him. He wanted to pull her into his arms, to explain, to beg her to stay, but part of him feared she would never forgive him, even if he tried. Why me? He asked quietly. Why not just leave me alone? Because you need to hear it, she said, her voice trembling but firm. You need to see the mess, not just in your room, but in life. You need to understand that money can't fix everything. He nodded slowly, absorbing her words. The room felt heavier, the silence after her outburst almost suffocating. He realized that the world he had created, for himself, the carefully curated life of luxury and control, was a fragile illusion. And in that fragile moment, this stranger, or maybe not so stranger anymore, had shattered it. I don't know if I can fix it, he admitted, almost whispering. She looked at him with a mixture of hope and sadness. You can't fix the past. But you can decide who you want to be from now on. For a long time, they sat in silence. The city hummed outside, indifferent. Then, slowly, he moved toward the dresser and picked up the shattered watch, holding it carefully. I've spent my life collecting things like this, he said softly, but I never thought about collecting moments, or people. She watched him, suspicion and curiosity mingling with her grief. Maybe it's not too late, she said quietly. He looked at her, really looked at her, seeing not just anger and pain, but courage. A small spark of determination lit inside him. He took a deep breath. "Show me," he said. "Show me what's real, not just the life I've inherited, but the life I could actually live." She blinked, startled, then slowly extended her hand. He hesitated, then took it. The gesture was simple, yet it carried a weight that neither of them could deny. And then, as if breaking a dam, the words flowed between them. She told him stories of people affected by his family's empire, people whose lives had been ruined or altered forever. He listened, first with disbelief, then shame, and finally with determination. "I want to make it right," he said at one point, voice shaking. "I want to do something, not for my name, not for the company, but for them. For everyone who's been hurt." Her eyes softened, a fragile smile breaking through. "It's not going to be easy. I know," he said. "But I've never done anything worth anything by avoiding difficulty. This is different. I have to try." They spent hours talking, planning, strategizing. She helped him see a side of himself he had long ignored, a side that could care, could give, could fight for something bigger than wealth and appearances. And with each plan they drafted, each idea they nurtured, a fragile trust grew between them. By morning, the mess in the bedroom no longer mattered. It had been a necessary chaos, a symbol of broken illusions and the start of something new. He looked at her, tired but alive, and whispered, "I don't know if I deserve this chance." "Neither did I," she admitted softly. "But here we are, and sometimes, that's enough." He nodded, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He realized that wealth, luxury, and power were meaningless without conscience, without connection. And for the first time, he understood that real value wasn't in what he owned, it was in what he could give, and how he could change. She smiled faintly, letting the tension in her shoulders ease. "We have work to do," she said. "Yes," he agreed. Together. And in that moment, as the first rays of sunlight spilled across the room, the millionaire and the woman who had dared to confront him began a journey neither of them had expected, one that would redefine everything they thought they knew about life, love, and responsibility. The room was quiet again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was filled with possibility, with hope, and with the faint, thrilling sense of a new beginning. He looked around once more at the scattered remnants of the night before, then took her hand, and for the first time in years, he felt ready to face the world, not as the millionaire he had been, but as the man he could choose to become. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this moment, this chaos, this confrontation, it would change everything. Forever.